What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look, unfortunately, at Madam Web. I had the unfortunate opportunity to watch Madam Web, and do I regret watching it? No, actually. More on that later. But what can I add to Madam Web that hasn't been said already? I can say it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It isn't as bad as what everyone's saying, but it isn't perfect. It isn't brilliant. So let's actually get into that and sort of voice my opinions on the movie, because I still stand by it's okay. It's an okay movie. There is a lot of shit wrong with it, but there is a couple of good things to mention and a couple of good things that we can actually talk about from this movie. I know, it's a shock. There is a little bit of good to this bad movie. But let's go to what Google has to say, and I can't even pronounce that. So, Cassie Webb is New York City's paramedic who starts to show signs of, I can't pronounce that word either, forced to confront revelations about her past. She must protect these young women from a mysterious adversary who wants them dead. So, that's what Google has to say. Now let's do a quick run through of the story. The film opens up with a pregnant lady in the Amazon jungle looking for a spider. Her co-worker betrays her, kills her, and then she is technically attempted to be saved by these people who live in the forest, who are dressed in vines which very much resemble a Spider-Man outfit. They get the spider to bite her. It doesn't heal her. She still sadly passes away from her blood loss. The baby is born in the Amazon. I don't know how the baby got back to New York City, but the baby does. And she makes friends with a guy called Ben Parker in her paramedic workplace, and she's zipping around in an ambulance saving people's lives. She actually saves someone's mother. She gets flipped off by someone, and there is someone in her apartment. Those three someones, I don't remember their names, are very important and were made a big deal of every time we saw them. We then continue on our quest, and she tries to save someone from a car, and she falls into the water, dies for 3 minutes, and the coolest scene, in my opinion, plays out when she's dead. She then gets brought back to life, and her power's been activated. She can start to see shit in the future. She relives several moments, gets a bit of deja vu. She goes to a child celebration. You're pregnant, happy pregnancy. One of those parties, and we then have them have to rush off because there's a fireplace. She doesn't stop someone from dying because she doesn't understand how her powers work yet. She gets told, you're crazy, have a week off. And she goes on the tube. She goes on the train, and she sees the three girls who are about to be murdered. She tries to save their lives. She gets called a pedo, and then she gets arrested by the police. Spider guy, ceiling guy, chases them across the roof, and they escape in a taxi which they stole. They get abandoned by Madam Web in the forest for 4 hours by themselves while she goes and investigates her powers. She comes back with very little information. She then leaves them again, but this time with Uncle Ben, so they have supervision. She then goes to the island which the other people were at, and she sees these people who were wearing the Spider-Man Vine outfits, and she gets pushed into some more water. She has visions of her mother and the reason why she actually went there in the first place to get this spider, and it was to save her life, which she's shocked about. She then rushes back to New York City to stop this evil dude, and through the power of friendship and teamwork and magic, she hits him with, I don't know, an ambulance, and then they run around for a while and they work together to defeat a superhero, like a superhuman. They manage it, he falls off and dies. She also falls off, but she lands in water. She then, I think she dies for another 3 seconds, gets hit in the head by a firework, and now she is paralyzed from the waist down, and she's in like this Professor Xavier wheelchair, and these really weird glasses. They look like the really old 3D glasses. and they're all one big happy family, with the three girls now being technically her daughters. And that is it. You know the spider people that they were teasing in every single trailer and pushing on the promotional material? They were in it for all of 3 minutes in two future visions, flashbacks. It's not a flashback if it happens in the future. Future visions? Yeah, future visions. 3 fucking minutes. The most heavily anticipated, the most heavily marketed part of this movie was in 3 minutes of the movie. They were spider people for 3 minutes. And it wasn't even them, because by the end of this movie, they don't have powers yet. They are still regular humans, regular teenagers. So that is a huge nitpick. That is like the biggest disappointment to me, is that the amount of tease and the amount of push for these superheroes, and they don't actually become these superheroes. The superheroes themselves are also really weird. We have this one here, which is a girl who has spider arms. Sydney Sweeney's Spider Woman. She has Doctor Strange webs. Like, they glow yellow and orange, and they're like sparkly. They're like electric. And then we also have the third Spider Woman, who uses like Green Goblin gadgets. She's like Batman. She has like goblin batarangs and crap like that, and bombs and grenades. So they all have their quirks and their special spider abilities, which make them different and stand out. But that's cool and all. We get to see it for 3 minutes. Out of a 1 hour and 49-minute film, to be fair, I was quite shocked at it was being that short. I turned this on to it, a shock of it being short, so I'm like, you know what? Cool. That's fine. Don't mind that. But still, these Spider Women were marketed for like the biggest part of the movie. They were supposed to be here, and I was expecting them to get their powers at some point so they could fight him at the end. But no, it's just future visions. The writing here is also incredible. Like, it is so cheesy and so lazy with some of the writing that it has. With, if your heart's still beating, you're okay. No, or some other ones which, you know what, I can't remember off the top of my head, and if I try and say them and get them wrong, it'll ruin it. It'll ruin how bad they are if I try and get it wrong. We also have the costumes. I think the costumes were really fucking good. He looks really cool. I think the villain's costume is really badass, with the very thin lines across it, and it's sort of a mix of like Spider-Man and Miles. I thought that was really cool, and I like the other three's spider outfits, which got shown for 3 minutes. I thought they were really cool. They could have used a little bit more screen time, but they were decent nonetheless. Madam Web's outfit towards the end was pretty shit. Her actual Madam Web outfit is crap. It is just red leather gloves and some really shit glasses. You could tell how people were acting. No one actually wanted to be there. However, there was good acting still being shown with the sarcastic girl. Her delivery was really good and actually got me a couple of laughs when she was being sarcastic near the start. When she was being the asshole and being like, you don't need to be like this. Why are you like this? Those like little quirks, those like those little bit of lines. They got me. They got me good. I thought they were funny. The plot with her visions was okay at best. She couldn't control them, and seeing the girls die over and over again got kind of boring and stale. It just, I don't know. We watched them die like 4 times in the movie, and every time he tried to attack them, she hit him with a car. He got hit by a car 4 times in this movie. I feel so bad for this guy. He was slammed by like a car, a taxi, and an ambulance. The three off the top of my head. He was hit like 3 times with 3 different cars. However, there is still some good to this movie. Like I said, it did get a couple of laughs out of me. Whether it meant to or not, I still giggled, I still laughed. Did I cry? Was I sad? Was I stressed or tense during this? Did it build suspense? Not in the slightest. I really did not care for any of these characters. When they were all hanging for dear life off the edge of the building, I wasn't enthralled. I wasn't tense. I wasn't on edge. I was like, they're gonna survive through some weird bullshit way. And I was correct. Some weird bullshit way did save them. The costumes were cool. Story wasn't. Acting wasn't cool. Did get me to laugh though. See, there's positives and negatives. See, you just gotta weigh them up. They dance around the words Spider-Man and Peter Parker. They dance around it so much, even though they own it. I don't know what they're saving Peter Parker or Spider-Man for. They call the bad guy Ceiling Person for 90% of the movie, and they call him a spider, they pause and then say person. They dance around Spider-Man. And when Uncle Ben being shoved in our faces that he's excited to be an uncle, but oh no, he's gonna die and he's gonna say great power comes great responsibility. But no, they don't. They say with responsibility comes great power. That doesn't roll off the tongue as well. That doesn't sound as badass. That sounds shit. But that is what they said, and that is the motto they went by in Madam Web. Even on the press tour, none of the actresses wanted to talk about the movie because of how bad it was. That says something. And maybe Sony will think twice about making another Spider-Man villain movie or a Sonyverse movie. I'm still excited for Venom 3 nonetheless. I enjoyed Venom 1 and 2. I'm excited for number 3 and I genuinely cannot wait. However, was it worse than Morbius? No. Am I glad I watched it? It was alright. I'll put it like a 4 out of 10. I wouldn't watch it again, but I'm happy to say that I've watched it and it isn't as bad as what people make out. It wasn't horrible. It was watchable. It made me laugh, and it isn't like a big commitment of like a 3-hour movie.